importing is a lot of fun, in my opinion. It's a very simple process. It's basically a conversion process where you are importing legacy documents into the Authorit library. All right, and what we mean by conversion process is that we're taking a file and converting it to Authorit objects. So there's an analysis process that happens when we do an import. Let's say we're importing a Word document. So in that Word document, you're going to have topics, graphics, and hyperlinks, for example. So when Authorit imports that document, they will create new topic objects for the topics. They will create hyperlink objects for the hyperlinks, and they will create file objects for any graphics that are inside of that document. So they are going to convert it from one format to the other. So how do you know what types of files you can import into Authorit? I'll give you a cheat sheet here. Very easy way to know what types of documents you can import into Authorit. Go to the Import ribbon. Take a look at each one of these icons here. All right, it's telling you what type of file can be imported. So we can import Word documents, rich text or RTF files, FrameMaker MIF files, WinHelp files, HTML help files, XPJ files, for example, and HTML files as well. Alright, so how do we actually import content into Authorit? Before you start importing the content, let's take a look at what Authorit is doing to your content during that import or conversion process. And to do that, we'll move over to this next box here that has these icons called profiles and rules. Now when you import a document into Authorit, a profile is assigned to that document. Let's click the profile link here. You'll see you have a profile set up for each type of file that can be imported into Authorit. These come by default with every Authorit library. So right out of the box, Authorit is set up to import the different types of files that can be imported into Authorit. I'm going to double click on a profile, show you what's happening here. A profile is nothing more than a bundle of rules for how to import your document. Alright, so whenever you go to import a Word document, you would use a Word document profile, and inside of that profile are a set of rules for what to do with that document that you're importing. There's two tabs here. There's the Properties tab that contains some global properties for what to do with your document. And then there's the Rules tab. And the Rules tab contains rules that will be applied to your content as it's being imported. And let's look at the Properties tab first. So every profile has a name, alright, and it's associated with a type, the type of document that you plan on importing. Now, I want to note that you can have multiple profiles that all import the same type of document. But let's say that you manage 3 documentation sets and you plan on importing all 3 of them into the library. But each of those doc sets are set up in a special way. So maybe the rules for each one of those profiles has to be different. So if that's the case, then you would want to set up 3 profiles, all that are set to publish or to import the type of document, which would be the same, but the name would be different, where this is DocSet 1, and then you got another one for DocSet 2, and another one for DocSet 3. And that is perfectly fine. Alright, let's leave this as Word document for now. Now down here in the bottom left are some rules for what to do with graphics. When AuthorIt encounters a graphic in your document, you can choose what template to assign to that graphic. I'll go ahead and select Embedded Image here. Alright, and you can choose whether or not to embed all linked graphics. So if you have some graphics inside of your document that are currently linked to graphics on your network, but your strategy for AuthorIt is to embed, you can have AuthorIt do the embedding for you so that you are following your new standard right out of the gate. Down here at the bottom, you can choose how AuthorIt should name the new file object. Do you want to name it after the caption, or do you want to name it after the heading of the topic that the graphic appears in? So you'd want to select this option if you're not currently using captions inside of your document. Now over here on the right hand side, you can choose what folder you would like your documents to be imported into. So you could browse to a particular folder inside of your library. Now what I'm going to do, let's close out of here. I'm going to create a new folder called Import. This is kind of my best practice for working with importing. If I have an import directory and I always tell AuthorIt to import to that directory, then I always know where my new objects are being created. So it'll take the guesswork out of where my content gets imported. So let's go back to Profile, Word Document, and here I'm going to set the folder to Import. Alright, so any document that gets imported is going to be imported as a subfolder underneath my import directory. Now I can also choose whether or not to import into an existing book object or to always create a new book when I import my document. I'm going to select New Book and then base it on a particular template. Let's say that Word documents that are imported into my library should be based on the user manual template because they are user manuals. So I'll go ahead and leave that set as user manual. Last but not least, you can assign a release date to new objects that get created when you import them into the library. Go ahead and select Import here. And now let's click Apply.